Bishop Joseph Strickland has spoken again, this time offering a powerful reflection on the current state of the Church. In a time when many faithful Catholics are feeling uncertain, divided, or discouraged, his words stand out as a call to deeper faith, hope, and spiritual endurance. He speaks not with loud warnings or sharp critiques, but with quiet strength, pointing to Christ's own example in the Gospel, especially the moments when Jesus remained silent in the face of trial. This message comes at a critical time. Many within the Church are confused, hurt, or simply tired. Some have grown restless or anxious watching changes unfold, and others feel alone in their desire to remain faithful to the Church's teachings and traditions. Bishop Strickland's recent reflection is not a response filled with arguments or debates, but a reminder of where true strength is found, in fidelity, in prayer, and in quiet perseverance. The Church today is facing a number of real and painful challenges. These challenges are not just coming from the outside world, but also from within. Some of them come from unclear teachings. Others come from inconsistency among clergy. At times, even leadership seems divided or hesitant. All of this leaves the faithful with questions. What do we believe? Where is the Church going? Are we alone in wanting to stay close to Christ? These are not small concerns. For many, these struggles have affected how they experience their faith day to day. There are moments of discouragement. There is sorrow when the Church, which should be a place of light, seems dim. There is confusion when teachings are not clearly upheld. And there is a longing for something deeper, something faithful and true, that won't shift with every trend or change. Bishop Strickland doesn't ignore these problems. Instead, he meets them with a reflection that leads the faithful back to the heart of the gospel. He reminds us that we've been here before, not in exactly the same way, but in spirit. The Church has passed through many seasons of trial, darkness, and confusion. What has always sustained her is not noise or power, but the quiet endurance of those who stay rooted in Christ. Bishop Strickland draws from the Gospel of Matthew, especially from the moment when Jesus was on trial before the high priest. Matthew 26-63 tells us that Jesus remained silent. In a world full of shouting voices and constant opinions, this silence can seem strange. But Bishop Strickland helps us see that this silence was not weakness. It was the silence of strength. Jesus did not speak because he was afraid. He remained silent because he was grounded in truth. He did not need to prove himself with words. His presence spoke for itself. This same kind of silence is needed today, not the silence of fear or passivity, but the silence that comes from prayer, trust, and courage. There are times in the life of the Church when leaders are not called to fix everything overnight, but are instead called to be present, to remain close to Christ and to the people. Even when no answers come. Bishop Strickland describes this as a time of watching and waiting, much like the disciples were asked to do in the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus asked them, "Could you not watch 1 hour with me?" Matthew 26-40. He didn't ask them to take control or change the outcome, simply asked them to stay awake, to remain with him in his sorrow. The same call comes to us today. We may not be able to fix everything in the Church, may not always have the words or solutions, but we are invited to remain with Christ, to stay faithful in silence, to pray even when it seems no one else is watching. This is what true spiritual leadership looks like. It's not always about having bold speeches or grand actions. Sometimes it's about staying when others leave. It's about being a silent witness of hope, someone who lifts up the Church and the people in prayer. A bishop, Bishop Strickland, reminds us, is called to be such a shepherd, to remain at the gates, to stay by the altar even when sorrow enters the sanctuary. And this is not just a calling for bishops or clergy. It is for all the faithful. We are all asked to persevere, to trust that even in silence, God is working. Even when the Church feels wounded or the way forward unclear, Christ has not left. He remains hidden but present. His hiddenness of God is not new. From the beginning, Christ chose quiet places. He was born in a simple village. He lived a humble life. He was misunderstood, rejected, and even betrayed. After his resurrection, he did not appear to the whole world, but to a few, the ones who had remained faithful. This shows us something important. Christ reveals himself not to those who shout the loudest, but to those who wait in faith. In today's world, we are often tempted to think that success or visibility means something is true, but the saints have taught us the opposite. St. John of the Cross said that the darkness is the preparation for great light. St. Gemma Galgani said that suffering teaches us how to love. These are hard truths, but they are real. Pope Pius wrote that the Church always walks under the sign of contradiction. That means that the Church often looks like it's losing. But she isn't. Her strength is not in numbers or approval, but in Christ. And Christ is often hidden in the Eucharist, in the poor, in the quiet heart of someone praying. Bishop Strickland reminds us that in times of waiting, whether we are waiting for healing or clarity, or for the Church to feel familiar again, we are not forgotten. The Book of Lamentations tells us that it is good to wait in silence for the salvation of the Lord. Lamentations 3:25-26. God sees what no one else sees. He knows who remains faithful. And in this perseverance, something beautiful begins. The altar becomes a beacon. The Eucharist becomes the place where Christ's presence is renewed day after day. Even when few are watching, even when the world does not see it, Christ is present. He remains with us in the Blessed Sacrament, offering himself again and again. The Gospel tells us how Jesus took the bread and said, "This is my body," Matthew 26-26. That moment is not just something that happened once. It happens every time the Mass is celebrated. It is Christ's ongoing gift, even when he is not recognized. St. Peter Julian Eymard called the Eucharist the supreme proof of Jesus' love. It is not flashy or dramatic. It is humble, it is hidden, and yet it is the source of all grace. In the same way, Christ remains close to us in the struggles of everyday life. He is there in the one who suffers without recognition. He is there in the one who keeps praying, even when tired. He is there in the mother who watches over her children in silence. He is there in the elderly person who sits quietly before the tabernacle. These small, unseen moments matter. They are the foundation of the Church, and they are the places where Christ is most near. To anyone who feels broken, discouraged, or forgotten, this message is for you. Christ is closer than you think. The prophet Isaiah said that the Lord sends his Spirit to comfort the brokenhearted, to bring liberty to captives, to heal and restore, Isaiah 61:2, 1-2. Your silent prayers, your hidden struggles, your quiet tears, none of them are wasted. God sees them all, and in them, he is drawing you close. Even when you don't feel him, he is there. The Church, even when wounded, still carries Christ. She still holds the sacraments. She still lifts our prayers to heaven. The silence we feel now is not the silence of defeat. It is the silence of Gethsemane. It is the silence before the resurrection. And in that silence, we are invited to remain. Not to run away, not to lose heart, but to stay with Christ. This is how renewal begins. Not with noise, but with fidelity. Not with anger, but with love. Bishop Strickland's reflection is a reminder that we do not need to fear the silence. Instead, we can lean into it, trusting that God is working in hidden ways. The saints knew this. They lived in times of struggle too, and yet they remained. They knelt in dark chapels. They served when no one noticed. They prayed for a church they loved, even when she seemed weak. We are called to do the same. This is our moment. Not to complain or despair, but to be present too. Stay close to Christ in the Eucharist, to love the Church even in her trials, and to carry our crosses with quiet hope. The world may not understand this path. Even some within the Church may not understand it, but Christ does. He walked it first, and he remains with us on it now. History shows that every age of the Church has had its struggles, but through them all, Christ has been faithful. He promised that he would remain with us until the end of the age. That promise still stands. So today, if you are tired or confused or longing for something more, remember this: you are not alone. Christ remains. The saints and angels are praying with you. And somewhere, someone is kneeling in a quiet church, lifting you up in prayer. That is the beauty of the Church. Even in silence, we are united.